I printed some things when you come down. Like, no,
The merger is far from being finalized and likely more than a year away. St. Peter's Health Partners and Millis Medicine issued a joint statement which says in part, they look forward to continuing to engage the community in dialogue and, quote, we do want to emphasize for our community that the intent of this proposed partnership is to enhance the availability of high-quality healthcare services in the capital region. In the end, we are confident the community will see more and even better care as a result of this partnership. Good news, Reverend AMC News.
Governor Andrew Cuomo says New York will lower COVID-19 vaccine eligibility from 65 to 60 starting at 8 a.m. tomorrow after the form is open. The Democrat announced the change today at a vaccination site in Syracuse. In addition to people who qualify because of their age, vaccinations in New York are open to people with certain health conditions and to essential workers, including teachers, healthcare providers, and police officers. Cuomo said New York will allow additional essential workers to receive vaccines starting March 17th. Newly eligible workers include public and not-for-profit employees who interact with public work employees, child service case workers, sanitation workers, and building service workers are among those newly eligible as well. Vermont Governor Phil Scott, coronavirus briefing today, including discussions over vaccination protocols as that state accelerates its schedule. WANC's North Country Bureau Chief Pat Roberts reports.
Vermont is vaccinating its residents based on age. The state has split the next year to receive vaccinations, individuals, certain high-risk health conditions, with the first section allowed to make appointments on Monday. Governor Phil Scott says the timetable has been adjusted after the initial response.
on the first day, under 10,000 have signed up, which is a bit fewer than we hoped. We planned for allowed 5B, it was 16 and over on Monday. So we're going to move that up. We're going to move that date to Thursday instead. As a reminder, the total population of this group is about 75,000. So we want to make sure we get to them as quickly as possible.
The state is also pursuing a parallel track to vaccinate all school staff,
our focus has been about protecting the health and safety of Vermont. In this case, it's actually. As the data has shown, they're struggling with mental health as a result of the pandemic, and the remote hybrid learning became really. That's why putting school staff, childcare workers, office parallel track is critical.
Last month, wastewater testing in Burlington detected the UK variant of COVID-19. Samples were sent to the health department for further testing, and on Monday, the results were confirmed. Vermont Health Commissioner Dr. Marcolini said the results were expected.
We discovered in virtually every state, and the patients discovered in those in wastewater that already pointed to the likelihood of here. This variant is easier to transmit. Good news is that the data shows that current vaccines are effective against this variant strain. So get vaccinated when you're eligible. In the meantime, help protect yourself by wearing your mask, keeping your distance from the place you travel.
Dr. Levine said his department is also prioritizing strategies to get BIPOC/Indigenous people of color residents vaccinated.
Our data shows that BIPOC promoters are more likely to get COVID-19 compared to white non-Hispanic people, making up 6% of the population, but 18% of positive cases. But we are seeing significant disparities in the rate of vaccination among BIPOC promoters compared to white non-Hispanic promoters. We have listened to our BIPOC community partners on the kinds of approaches that we work with them. We can and must do better.
You can view Governor Scott's whole briefing at WAMC.org. I'm Pepper Appley, WAMC News.
Finally, tonight, the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation says its study of soil and water surrounding the Norway facility in Hose found no clear pattern of oil contamination that could be traced to the plant. The EDC conducted the sampling after it was revealed the plant was burning pre-penetrating firefighting foam for the U.S. Defense Department. The agency says it found low-level amounts of PFAS compounds in all four samples collected upwind, downwind, and at background locations, consistent with research on the prevalence of such contaminants in the environment. The CDC and State Health Department say the concentrations do not pose a human health risk. In November, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo signed legislation to ban PFAS burning at the plant, which is located near the Saratoga site public housing project in that alternate country. Support comes from United University Professions, representing 37,000 academic and professional employees at SUNY campuses and teaching hospitals across New York State. Robert P. Cole, president, UUPinfo.org. And MassMac, a locally owned personal dating service, now offering matchmaker qualifications by friends and extending membership periods as needed. MassMac.com/. Thank you for joining us today on WAMC's Northeast Patrol Edition. I'm Neil Zacharias. Thanks to Peter Jenkins and Jackie Orchard and Newman and Jim Lewis. Speaking out of the marketplace. Have a safe night.
Alexa, find them.
Good evening, Warren.
Hi, Larry. How are you?
You can see me
I can see you and I can hear you.
and here. Oh, I'm telling you,
Yeah, modern technology is wonderful.
I have traveled far.
Yes, you have.
It's here.
I'm
Okay.
here. Sorry, I was having trouble with my computer. I'm on my phone.
No problem.
All right, do we have a motion to approve February minutes?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Nays? Okay. We have Mr. Hakeem here, so let's go ahead and open up some old business, which is Johnson Route 28, which is a simple reapproval for the subdivision approval that was granted in 2020. They need some additional time to file some paperwork.
So I was in front of the board and received an extension. We were unable to meet that timeline. There were some estate planning issues and legal things going on. And I got the approval from the attorneys to file the maps, went to the county, and I missed it by a day. It was 63 days. So we're all ready to file everything at this point. So I appreciate your attention to a freshening up of the approval.
David, do we have any concerns on this?
None.
Okay.
It's just a simple reapprove the resolution from 2020.
Is there any discussion from the board?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I have a question. Larry Decker. The conditions and limitations set forth refer to an encroachment being completed before the filing, outstanding issues with Campers World before filing, and private maintenance agreement. If we approve this tonight, is 62 days reasonable for you, Paul?
Yeah, I've actually have all the certifications, tax certifications. As soon as I get the signed maps back from Jeffrey, I'm gonna march them right over to the county building. So there's nothing standing in the way beyond that.
So those three conditions can be met within the 60.
They are all met. The road maintenance agreement has been filed. The encroachment has been rectified. That is part of the lot line adjustment between the neighboring property. And that's part of that action which was approved. So we addressed that concern previously.
Thank you very much.
And Gabby, I believe I signed those maps on last Wednesday, correct?
I'd have to check. I'm not 100%. I think we were holding off till approval, but I'll have to look when I get in the office.
Okay.
Gabby, I believe I need to stop in and sign them first.
You
think-
do, which may be
yeah.
why I was holding off, because you have to sign them first.
Great, thank you.
Okay. All right. Any more discussion? Do we have a motion to reapprove the filing timeline?
I'll make the motion.
Decker, I'll second it.
Gabby, can you call the roll?
Ms. Hayner,
Yes.
Mr. Almquist,
Yes.
Mr. Decker,
Yes.
Mr. Stavropoulos,
Yes.
Chairman Ring.
Yes. Okay, on to the second piece, Paul, that you have, which is the Pioneer Solar on Sawkill Road.
I will defer to Paul McEnany's on the line here from Solar Generation. He actually is the lead. We're the property owners.
Hi
Paul,
guys, can you hear me?
Yes, Paul.
Hi, I can't get the video up, so you don't get to look at me, which is probably a good thing. Yes, so we are a lot of paperwork needs to be done, and Zach, who's my colleague, who's also on the line, has been interfacing with your secretary, and we're actually not quite ready to kick off with the planning board. A couple of outstanding issues, but we thought we'd take the opportunity just to socialize this project with the board at large, and then next month in April we'll come back with the full application. And Zach, you want to add any more to that?
Yeah, no, I think that's really it. Just to go over everything. I know we submitted, a draft of our site plan, but this will be a 7.5 megawatt DC, 5 megawatt AC community solar array that we'd be looking to move forward with. So start the process.
And the site is a great site. Not only is it close to the utility in terms of three-phase because of the work that was done up at that reservoir and connecting down to the Sawkill, that work's been done. So it's a really good interconnection. There's also the topography of the site will make it invisible to folks on 209 or the Sawkill or anywhere. It's just going to be out of sight. Which is one of the things that we look for when we're citing these projects, is to make sure there's no visual disturbance to folks, and this one doesn't have that. So it's a great site. So I guess for the board, if you have any questions from us about it, we'd be happy to answer that. But this is sort of a glorified workshop. We're just a little bit premature given all the things that we had to get in for the application.
And it's largely unchanged from what we spoke on in the February workshop, correct?
That's correct, Mr. Ring. That is correct.
Okay. Any issues, concerns, questions from the board? Okay.
What kind of topography and planting is on the site right now? Is it open meadow or is it forested?
It's forested. There's transmission lines go through the property. So there's meadows, if you will, or grass on either side of those transmission lines. Obviously, we will not be in there as setbacks from those lines. There is a small open area, maybe an acre, maybe an acre and a half, but no, mostly it's forested.
Is that open area, is that rock or just gravel and stone?
I don't know what it was used for before. It looks like it might have been a quarry, a very shallow quarry, just to sort of get item out of, by the looks of things.
Yeah, I'm just looking at an aerial now.
Yeah, it's not very big, Warren.
No.
But it'd be a good place for us to mobilize and to set down and put the panels there as staging and stuff. You know what I mean?
Yep. That quarry was originally used when they built the pressure reservoir up there to build the road up there and part of the berm.
Okay.
Your access will be off the Sawkill Road?
Yes, sir.
There is an existing road from Sawkill Road all the way up to the top of the mountain to the quarry, past the reservoir.
Is that the one on your property or the one at the water department? The Kingston
Water Department has a right of way to cross ingress and egress to get up there. Water Department only owns the perimeter around the reservoir. If you look at the tax map, they're somewhat landlocked. Yeah, they're somewhat landlocked.
Because when I watched them do the work over the summer, that was a very steep incline they were going up, unless there's another access on the adjacent property.
Yeah, just to the north, there's the old Monica farmhouse, which is now multifamily. That road goes up through there.
I see it now. Thank you.
Yeah, there's a couple of switchbacks.
Hey, all the kids know where that road is.
Of course they do. So would that be your proposed access?
Yes, sir.
So then you continue the right of way across that property?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, the road is existing.
Okay.
I'll just ask, are you guys good with the environmental assessment form you put in? Because I'll have to do the part 2 for the town so we can start seeker properly in April.
Yes, we'll have that prepared for you, David.
Okay,
Yeah.
but you submitted one already.
Yeah.
Is that good to go?
Yes, yes, it is.
Okay. Jeffrey, I can get started on that so that we can pre-position the recommendation of the town board to start seeker and refer it to the county.
Okay, that'd be great.
That means you're talking May for earliest approval.
That's fine. Yeah, we understand that timeline. Thank you.
All right, if there's no other questions, then we can close that and move on. So,
Great. And we'll
Paul,
be back next
Paul,
month.
Zach,
Yeah.
thank you.
Of course.
Thanks,
thank
fellas.
you, everybody.
Appreciate it.
Yep,
And
thank you.
and Gabby.
All right, Albany 7 LLC. David, can you talk through this one? Because the way I read it, I think we have all of the items complete on Albany 7.
Yes, we do. And plus Gabby's, I think, Gabby, you circulated, or at least some of us know that water, sewer, and highway superintendents have signed off now.
Water's good to go. Sewer said any issues can be dealt with on the building side of things, and highway had no comments.
Okay. So just a note on the draft resolution circulated. In the list of materials with the application, we'll need to amend that, the last one with a list of site plan, lighting plan, et cetera. Those were revised, dated 3/3/21, which reflect the water department's requests as well. Okay. That's the set that I think you posted now, Gabby, right?
I believe you had sent the draft around, yeah.
But everybody's got the revised plans. I know I do.
Yeah.
Yes, that I did send out.
Okay. So that's the only, the outstanding issues from the last discussion were getting the sign off from those 3 departments, Chairman.
Okay. Do you want to read the draft resolution then?
If you'd like me to.
Just the summary of it?
Sure. So the summary is it's a motion for site plan application, final review and approval to the Ulster Town Board with planning board approval of a lot line adjustment. As a reminder, the lot line adjustment merges the 2 lots in question. So I'll just do the highlights here. Whereas the applicant Albany 7 LLC seeks site plan approval with approval of lot line adjustment for construction of a new mixed-use building and renovation of an adjoining building for commercial use with associated parking, access, landscaping, and utility infrastructure. And the application includes a lot line adjustment to consolidate the existing parcels 48.58-5-37 and 48.58-5-21-120. What the applicant submitted, I'll just go quickly here. The applicant submitted complete applications in a short form environmental assessment form. Town board is in coordination with the planning board, previously determined the planning board was lead agency and type the action is unlisted and initiated seeker review. It was referred to the county planning board, who responded with a statement of no county impact. We did get some earlier advisory comments, which we discussed 2 meetings ago, maybe. Whereas this applicant also received on January 13th, 2021, from the Town of Ulster Zoning Board of Appeals, a set of variances for area, both setback and parking, as well as use, allowing apartments as part of the mixed use proposed with the application. Whereas the application materials include a series of things that I listed that are in the Dropbox and you've all seen. I just need Gabby to amend the last item to where it says the site plan and related floor plans and elevations are dated 12/5/19. There's revisions dated 3/3/21. Okay.
Okay,
I can make that change.
And we planning board considered the application materials submitted, comments of consultants and staff. It's now therefore resolved by the planning board recommends the town board make a negative declaration under seeker for the site plan as an unlisted action based on coordinated review with the planning board, and be it further resolved that the town of Ulster Planning Board finds the lot line adjustment is a type 2 action under seeker requiring no further action, and that the same lot line adjustment is not a referable action to the county under general municipal law. Be it further resolved, the town of Ulster Planning Board grants approval of the lot line adjustment element of this application, subject to Ulster Town Board final approval and conditions of the same site plan as follows. And then I include be it further resolved, the town of Ulster Planning Board approval, the lot line described above as the usual limitations for lot line adjustments. Plat has to be filed and signed. No changes, erasures, modifications may be made. The final plat must be filed within 62 days, and all fees, including consultant fees, must be paid. And the second part of the resolution involves the planning board's recommendation to the town board to make final review of this application and grant conditional site plan approval, subject to the following. 1, compliance with any final comments as may be needed from the town engineer, town sewer department, town water department, and applicable fire district. 2, compliance with comments from the Ulster County Planning Board as they specifically relate to trees, landscaping signage within the Route 9W corridor enhancement plan. That's the earlier, which we discussed, which are completely in the site plan now. 3, compliance with the applicable zoning and building laws, rules, regulations. 4, compliance with all representations made by the applicant. 5, compliance with documentation, site plan, and details cited herein. 6, the town's consulting planner and building inspector are hereby authorized to approve minor site plan changes of ministerial nature as they may arise. And 7, all fees, including consultant fees, shall be paid.
David, I just have one question on that resolution. That property is not in the 9W corridor.
Yeah, I know, it came up. It's technically south and just off of it, right?
Yeah. Jason, we should remove that language from the resolution.
That's up to the board. I know that while it strictly may not be in the Route 9W corridor, that has been the policy of the town for some time. Now we do want to beautify the area, have sidewalks, lighting. So it's up to the board.
Okay. All right, is there discussion on the resolution?
So that would be condition 2 if is the discussion about.
Yep.
I gotta stay on my phone because the computer won't connect.
Anna, do you have some comments on this?
No, I'm back on my phone. My computer keeps disconnecting. I'm sorry.
Okay. All right, then, is there a motion on the table?
Almquist, I'll make the motion.
To approve?
I'll second that motion to approve.
Gabby, can you call the roll, please?
Ms. Hayner,
Yes.
Mr. Almquist,
Yes.
Mr. Decker,
Yes.
Mr. Stavropoulos,
Yes.
Chairman Ring.
Yes. Ciro, I see you're here. Congratulations and good luck with your project. Okay. The next item of business is the Farm Bridge. David, do you want to run that one through? I believe that there were no county comments on this project.
Yes, correct. So, so like all of them tonight, the planning board reviews and makes a recommendation to the town board for final approval. It was referred to the county as required. The county had no county impact comment. Seeker's been initiated. There was a little bit of discussion, I think, I don't know if it was on the side or at the last meeting, about the utility connections. But I understand Warren may be able to fill in better. Those have been addressed now.
Yes, Vincent from the sewer department met with quite a few people on site, and they discussed the grease interceptors, and they are going to be providing to him whatever he requires.
So as a reminder to the board, this is a food production company that takes in fresh product from the region and packages and processes and packages it for various clients. They're basically moving across the street to a larger and create renovate a larger facility with the one addition, which is the loading area and distribution section of the facility.
Okay, is there any discussion on the farm bridge? Okay, is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
And that's a motion to move on to the town board for approval.
Correct.
Almquist, I'll second it.
Okay, Gabby, can you call the roll?
Ms. Hayner,
Yes.
Mr. Almquist,
Yes.
Mr. Decker,
Yes.
Mr. Stavropoulos,
Yes.
Chairman Ring.
Yes. All right, great. The last one for tonight is the Industrial Brewing Company. And I believe this is just a discussion. It's not ready for any motion. So is someone here for Industrial Brewing?
Yes, I'm here. Jeff O'Neill, the founder of Industrial Arts.
Okay. David, how do we want to start this one?
Well, we have to address we got comments from the county, which I apologize, I garbled a bit in a potential draft resolution. So the county wants to see, it's basically made binding comments. They want to see compliance with the town lighting standards as well as Dark Sky Institute lighting standards, which were attached to their comments, which I believe, Gabby, you've circulated around to people. And second, the county's asking, basically requiring an extension to the applicant of the proposed hedgerow, as well as the addition of a supplemental fence to ensure that people don't get into or wander onto Route 28. So we have to, it's, as you can see, it's displayed. As a reminder, the way this works is the required modifications the board is compelled to follow. Therefore, we have to ask the applicant to consider them and include them. Or if there's a concern or objection, it would take a supermajority, a majority plus one vote to override them.
Okay.
I'm glad to comply with their recommendations. I watched the meeting, and it was, it was all very good natured. They suggested even to relocate some of the tables that we have closer to Route 28, more to the other side, which is something we're already planning on. So no problem to extend the hedgerow. They also recommended native planting, so I'll look more closely at something that can comply with their.
And you're aware of the physical fence in addition to the hedgerow?
Correct. And I think they missed that there is a fence there along the parking area, between the parking area and where the septic field is. So I'm glad to duplicate that same fence in the area that they're talking about, which is between the picnic tables in the southwest corner of the property.
I find it interesting that they want a fence there when that's a highly pedestrian trafficked area between the transient housing at the motel at the bottom of the hill, the transient that live in the apartments in the Skytop Village or whatever apartments it is that they are walking in and around, and I would think those would be a higher distraction or potential risk for pedestrian car accidents than having a fence along the perimeter of this.
I perceived it as more of an aesthetic concern than anything else, just by the tone of their discussion. And there's also some natural brush and cover through there that is not visible this time of year.
Yep.
I agree, Jeffrey. I don't think there needs to be a fence along 28. That seems redundant and not what we are looking to do in our community, just saying.
Well, I don't think we actually have any properties along 28 that have a fence, and I actually that's my street. I live on that, so I come down to the light every time I leave the neighborhood. So,
right.
Yep.
I agree, 100%. That's too much.
How deep is the swale that runs along 28?
It's decent. You wouldn't wander into it on purpose.
That's kind of what I thought. I'm the town rep on the county planning board.
Okay.
And I'm not allowed to speak at the meeting because I have a vote on the town town planning board. The problem is these people make all these judgments looking at a plain piece of paper that's flat. They have no idea of topology. And I can't go back and argue with them. They just come up with these statements. So we do have to pass a resolution to override their, and with a good reason why. So
okay,
I think specifying the swale depth and the topology, I think we can get away without having a fence.
Okay, and for what it's worth, I do already plan to push maybe a half a dozen of those tables more around the north side of the septic field.
Okay.
So that's something that they mentioned during the meeting, and I'm glad to make that adjustment just because for what it's worth, it is a little close to the road down there. Especially the 2 or 3 that are right up against the property line.
Are you proceeding with the assumption you're going to try to get use permit on DOT land?
Yes, but I wanted to discuss that as well because we just don't know how long that might take. So the alternate plan would probably be just to wait on the 6 spaces in the east end of the lot and relocate the sign to the sliver of our property that's still left next to the lower parking spaces, if you can follow what I'm saying.
Yeah, right in the white spot right there. Yep.
Yeah. So if we move forward and we're, had a building permit open and we're moving on this before DOT did, I could conceivably stage those in just to keep the project moving.
You got a piece of the hedgerow maybe too, huh? Well, you have an interesting chairman. We've got an interesting circumstance. If he proceeds with the site plan without the DOT land, it drops below the threshold requiring town board approval. The planning board could approve this on its own.
So that there's a requirement to go to the town board. Is it optional to go to the town board knowing that the expansion is likely? So that we cover all the bases in the future, we don't have to go back to the town board when they add 6 parking spaces.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Yeah, I think knowing that an expansion is a possibility, I would suggest we recommend site plan approval and this go to the town board. So we don't have to keep going back and forth.
Exactly. Okay. So your project can move forward without the blue shaded DOT areas. with some modification of the parking, movement of the table, installation of the hedgerow and lengthening the hedgerow. Is that correct?
That is correct. Like I would still move forward without the parking spaces if DOT is slow.
Would you then plant the hedgerow as, I believe they wanted the hedgerow extended to in front of the tables? Would you plant the hedgerow in the DOT area?
I would do everything I could to plant it on our property.
Okay. Now, like I said, I'm very familiar with this piece of property, and I think I think we should do all that we can to repurpose this with this property.
Great, I appreciate that.
David, any other concerns?
No.
Okay, so we would have a motion to not require the fence to override the county comments on the fence, and that will require a supermajority. And then you have a resolution to read with a recommendation to move to the town board for approval, correct? Those are the two things?
Correct, although you could, I defer to Jason. Do we want the planning board, if they want, desirous to override that one provision from the county? Do we want them to vote? Because technically you're recommending the town board override the county on that matter.
Correct. So we would have two motions. One is to override the county's required modification on that one issue, the fence. And then we can do a motion to recommend town board to move this to the town board, the site plan.
Okay. So the question isn't whether we can override the fence or the town board override the fence?
So the planning board would recommend the town board override the fence. Yes.
Okay, got it. All right. So then, is there more discussion on this project?
Not from ownership side, other than the question of, do I need to develop this plan any further for town review?
David?
I don't think so. If you're willing to proceed with the presumption that you're going to locate those features on DOT land, we have everything we need. If you're going to take them off, you'll just need an amended site plan that shows it all on your own property.
Okay, and can that work like an as-built?
It's a board question.
I believe the plans that are signed off and approved need to reflect what was approved before the board.
I might be a stretch, Jason, to see those as ministerial of nature, the dropping 6 parking spaces and moving a sign and.
Yeah, that's not ministerial. No.
So the applicant's got a choice, Chairman. If you want to recommend a site plan approval with that one override of the county fence question, and have all of the site beyond the applicant's property, we don't have everything we need. It would be, so you'd have to do it in the April meeting.
I guess my question would be, if we approve this as it stands, and he does get DOT approval, does he need to reapproach the board to add those parking spaces? Since it's on.
What we have in front of us, Warren, I think, is the assumption for the board that he will have access to DOT land.
Okay, I'm just trying to make it as simple as possible. So if he does get access, he's already got it on the site plan, he can proceed through with those additional parking spaces without having to revisit this.
I want to make this as easy as possible, knowing knowing the overall goal of this project within the constraints of an approval of DOT land. Yeah.
I think you could, simplest thing is to approve what you have in front of you. Subject to, yes, the DOT approval. And if it falls through or he chooses not to pursue that, he comes back for a simple site plan modification, which you can do in one meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do want to assume that it's going to be approved. I just don't know how long it might take.
Yep.
And I made application maybe mid-January.
Yep.
So I suppose if it drifts, soon come back to the town with putting those features on your own property and you can get going.
Yeah. What's your timeline on the project? If you were granted approval at the next town board meeting, Jason, which is next Thursday, right?
Yes, the 18th.
18th. If you were granted approval, can you help me understand, help the board understand the timeline of the project?
I'd probably, if we were granted approval, I would probably have building permit application in May.
Okay, and then how long for the actual construction?
Hopefully 60 to 90 days.
Okay, so we're into the end of summer.
Yes, I'm targeting a summer, a pre-fall autumn opening.
Okay. It seems like a fairly long time to make adjustments if required.
Noting that if, for argument's sake, he wants to, either DOT falls through, or he just prefers to do it all on his own property, the extent of that site plan amendment wouldn't be subject to seeker or wouldn't be referable to the county. It's just, for lack of a better term, too small to fret about.
Yeah. Okay.
So you could do it in one meeting.
All right. Then is there more discussion? Then I would like to make a recommendation. I'd like to make a motion that we recommend to the town board that they override the county comments on the requirement of a physical fence along the Route 28 corridor due to the existing topology that is a natural barrier between the property and Route 28, and to improve the site plan project going forward.
I second that.
Gabby, can you call the roll?
I just to pause you, Chairman. Jason, do you want those in two separate resolutions?
We can do it in one resolution if that's what the board's, that's fine.
Ms. Hayner,
Yes.
Mr. Almquist,
Yes.
Mr. Decker,
Yes.
Mr. Stavropoulos,
Yes.
Chairman Ring.
Yes. All right.
Gabby, just noting for the chairman and Gabby, on the draft Fuller resolution that they just approved, Gabby, I just got to fix that short paragraph about the county review based on what was just voted on, okay?
Yes.
Okay, no problem.
Thanks, everyone. Really appreciate it.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
All right. Is there a motion to close the meeting?
I have
I
one
make
question.
that motion. Oh,
Oh, hold on. Go ahead.
I was approached by the general manager for Casa Vallarta. He would like to know about the feasibility of outdoor seating.
Where is that?
That is the new Mexican restaurant in what we call the Caramount Plaza across from
Yep.
Adams. I haven't gotten the final proposal of how many tables he's proposing. So I have to go circle around with him because he also gets to increase his seating capacity indoors, at which point he may not need seating outdoors.
Okay.
Did we want?
and where
this
is he
to go?
plan on the outdoor seating, in the back? where there's less traffic?
He hadn't been, I hadn't had the site meeting with him. My question, I guess, is gonna be is, do you want this to go through site plan? Or do you need more information, to make that determination?
More information, I would say, myself.
Yeah, I want to know what the town board, isn't this really, shouldn't this really be a direction led by the town board on what we want to do with restaurants? Because, you know, one is a precedent. The second is, you know, are there state regulations or state recommendations that are brought down as we begin to open up the restaurants for the warmer weather, Jason? So I think I would like to see what the direction from the supervisor and the town board is on outdoor seating.
Okay, you
I
do.
know we had King Valley in the fall. We had King Valley open up outdoor seating, right?
That's a little bit, that's a little bit different in that it's a self-contained property that they all own, that the Kings Valley Diner owns, versus in this case, property in a plaza, a small mall. And we could potentially have additionally restaurants that want to use public property or right-of-ways or easements or something. And I'd like to see some direction from the town board on that.
We did have during last summer, we did have outdoor seating at 99, Bowery Dugout, and a few others during the height of it. So just so they could get some seating, but that was the understanding that it was temporary.
Right.
And they got back indoors, so this is a little different in that they want to do both. But I will follow up with him later this week.
I think they also should come forth with a little more information as to how many. And where,
Correct. I agree, Larry.
because
Well, this is where I
tonight.
was headed with this. It's a preliminary to know what you wanted to see before I went to talk to him.
Yeah.
So I get all the information at one time.
I
Yep.
agree though with Jeffrey. We definitely need more information from the town board because it's going to become a thing where every single restaurant's going to want outdoor seating because no one's going to want to eat inside. And if they're doing a shared parking lot, that's a little shady.
That would be a difficult site because the traffic flows right in front of that restaurant.
Well, that's why I asked if it was in back because they had that back parking lot where the employees park, that there's no traffic flow.
Well, he has a deep awning on the front of the building.
Yeah, but in the front of the building, the bank goes in front of the building too. When they go through the drive-through, they're going in front of that building. So they can't eat out there. They could eat out back, but not in the front. I don't know. More information definitely needed.
I think we need to be fair about it. I think we need to be understanding of the times we live in. I think we want to be as accommodating as possible, but I want to make sure that we're safe, that we're reasonable, that we have a good exit strategy from this temporary outdoor eating. And it's not going to be the norm once we exit, COVID days. So I really think that, some direction from the supervisor on what we want and the board of what we want our town to look like.
But you look at the examples that Warren gave us, 99 and the fish restaurant, they're both on their own properties.
Right.
In this case, they're leasing a small piece of parcel that probably doesn't include anything outside the footprint of the building.
Right.
Yep.
And you're on the common property of the landlord. So that's
Well,
a different
knowing Kirchhoff, they're rather agreeable to having their businesses succeed.
I'm sure of that.
But that's how they got him in there.
Right.
So more information to follow. Understood.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
I have nothing further. On that 99, or not 99, the 9W plan, is there a way, just from a legal standpoint, to say we're expanding that design guideline to encompass the portion of Albany Avenue down to the town line?
Yes, there's a way of doing that. That would have to be a local law adopted by the town board.
Do you think the planning board ought to recommend that?
I agree,
Honestly-
Frank.
Honestly, I think that we need to cross the Ts and dot the Is, and, 9W quarter plan does not mean town of Ulster today in my mind, and if I was an applicant, I'd be arguing that point if it was restrictive to me. So I think that if we want to include Ulster Avenue in the 9W plan, then we should make that recommendation. Jason, what's the process to do that?
The board can pass a motion right now urging the town board to revise the Route 9W corridor enhancement plan to incorporate Ulster Avenue from the city line to I guess it would be the intersection
9W.
with the Red Lobster Swim King corner.
How's the rest of the board feel about that?
I'm very
I agree.
positive on it.
Yep.
All right. I'll make the motion to make the recommendation to the town board to include the Ulster Avenue from the City of Kingston town line to the 9W intersection as part of the 9W enhancement corridor.
I'll second that.
Gabby, can you call the roll?
Ms. Hayner,
Yes.
Mr. Almquist,
Yes.
Mr. Decker,
Yes.
Mr. Stavropoulos,
Yes.
Chairman Ring.
Yes.
Gabby, can you send a letter to the supervisor from the planning board reflecting that motion?
Yes, I could do that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Is there any other discussion? I make a motion, we close the March meeting.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Nays? Okay. See you next month. Thank you.
Sure. Good night, all.
Have a good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, Anna.